member of this institute as ABQO. And we thank you, Mr. Hernick, for all support you give for the Saudi Quality Council to be member there. Actually, Mr. Hernick, he is the chairman of, he was the chairman in Global Performance Excellence Awards, belongs to the ABQO. This awards considered as a global excellence award. And one of the winner, Saudi organizational winner, was actually Saudi Aramco. And in this regard, I'd like just to thank Mr. Hernick Singh for his supportive for all Saudi companies and organizations to win global awards. Of course, Mr. Hernick actually he had a valuable contribution to the National Saudi Quality Strategy. He was one of the members of the jury committee, along with other representatives from other institutes like CQI, EQM, and etc. He now actually holding the position of heading and sharing the Academic Examination Board of Institute of Management at Singapore called NIM. And he is non-official consultant, partially consultant for some companies regarding business excellence and quality initiatives. Mr. Hernick, thank you very much for your chance to be with us today. And I will leave the floor just to share the slide and start your presentation, which is going to talk about the business excellence tool enabling sustainability in the new normal. Thank you very much.
Salam, Basal Khair, Dr. Ayed Al-Omari, Chairman of the Saudi Council for Quality, the Executive Committee of the Saudi Council for Quality, the Quality Champions, the friends, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Salim, for the very generous introduction. I would like to thank SQC for this opportunity to share at this webinar today. The SQC has been a key driving force behind the quality movement in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and also beyond. The very recent Silver Jubilee celebration is a significant milestone of the commendable progress made over the last 25 years. Dr. Ayed and the SQC Executive Committee, comprising the quality giants and the champions, have all successfully engaged your various stakeholders and have successfully contributed in a big way to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Dr. Ayed is also a good friend. He's also an academician of the International Academy for Quality and is well known internationally, regionally, and his thoughts on quality are very useful. And he's really a good partner to work with if you want to champion quality. So with SQC have contributed to the success of the King Abdulaziz Quality Award and the National Quality Conferences. In fact, the King Abdulaziz Quality Award and the National Quality Strategy, which you have there, demonstrates clearly the commitment to quality and sustainability, which is there in the kingdom. So if I may just continue to share my part, business excellence as a model, as a tool, is very, very relevant today. And many organizations who are enlightened and understand the model well use it effectively to enable sustainability. we know, the key factors that are affecting the sustainability today for organizations to remain in business is the productivity and the ability to innovate in this new challenging environment to keep themselves relevant and productive. So they need to very quickly think of ways and methodologies to reduce waste immediately, to reduce cost, because that is the biggest leakage in this current challenge, and we need to do that. We need to innovate so that we can overcome the challenges we are facing in this pandemic kind of situation and what we need to do. Next is the management. How does the management react or accommodate the challenges and look in the organization and what we need to do to transform and to transform the organization to keep it relevant in the context of what we have. And we're going to go into the new norm. And it's not something that we can opt not to get into that. To survive into the future, the new norm is a reality. And we will have to accept that. And we need to transform and adjust as we go along. The other factor is about technology. We all know that in this pandemic, that technology has played an important part to keep many businesses, organizations, and in fact, mankind going, tricking. Medical technologies, other business technologies, and like digitalization has been rapidly growing so that we can keep our distance and we can comply and we can get the supply chain all moving. So technology is a very important factor to help us to sustainable. Then the way and the systems that we're going to put in place with all the other factors together, the methodology that we're going to put, the process we're going to put to get optimum output for productivity so we can sustain, we can survive. If not, it's very challenging to actually recover from the very, very long hit that most organizations have because of the pandemic. And because of that, there are many opportunities. There are many opportunities that we have and many constraints and many demands. And the demands can be things like we're talking about all the managers who are working and all your peers, your colleagues, and externally impose demands from your customers and from your other stakeholders, and also your own staff inside, having demands because they want to have a job, they want to remain employed, they want to take care of their loved ones, working from home, and all the various challenges which are coming on board. At the same time, we got the various constraints, and the constraints like limited resources, then the legal limitation, the legal regulations, in some cases, the trade unions being very active, and of course, the physical location, working from home, the suppliers and your other partners, the foreign workforce that we have. And like Singapore too, we are affected because we depend a lot on foreign workforce to help us. And some countries who do that are really affected by these kind of constraints. At the same time, there are also opportunities. The opportunities for us to see what we can do given the current context and the new norm is going to come, the new kind of jobs, as we know that many of the jobs which are in existence today will be no more. Perhaps about 20-30% of the jobs will be no more. It will totally change with the technology playing a big part in how new businesses are going to transform themselves. At the same time, about the kind of jobs and the kind of management style as we get out of the pandemic into the new norm, the management techniques, the management styles need to adjust itself as we move. And all these are going to be opportunities. And how do we then seize these opportunities, prepare the workforce to acquire the new know-how, to acquire the talent as the new business going to transform. And innovation is going to be a key enabler for success. The technology is going to be a key enabling tool. As we know, Industry 4.0, and we have got Quality 4.0 coming on board. And how do we realize these opportunities and quickly prepare the staff, prepare the organization, and seize these opportunities? So in the business excellence framework, they help you to look at the various areas and address it so that you can remain sustainable. As you know, as I mentioned earlier too, we are today in a real-time economy. It's really changing. In fact, day by day, we can see new kind of developments being reported. As we know that even from the medical side, there are many new discoveries that's happening, and different countries are doing their best to produce good for the mankind. And even today, we talk about telemedicine. It's already a real thing. Perhaps before the pandemic, telemedicine was something not preferred by many, but today it's an option. It's no more an option. We have to more or less use that if you want to really benefit from medical advice. So ideas are very important, and ideas have to be better. And then in the real economy, technology is playing a very important part, and we must realize that we cannot do away with it. If we can afford, we can acquire technology, or we can exploit technology, and how are we going to do that? At the same time, getting as much information as possible. The world today is very open. Information flow all over, and information is getting cheaper, easily accessible. And how do you use the information to build into your ideas, exploit technology, so we can remain viable as we move forward? So when we talk about business excellence, we are really talking about adopting the business excellence model, and it's a big framework, holistic framework, and adopting and putting it on the organization and assessing your various dimensions of the organization. So progressive companies who want to keep going ahead, those who want to seize opportunities, and those who want to make sure that they can succeed moving forward into the new norm and into the future, they define the strategies beyond just using ISO 9000. ISO 9000 2015 is the latest quality management system which is around. And also now people are using the business continuity system and things like that. We need to go beyond that. That is basic. Next, it's important for you to identify risks and opportunities. So with the COVID-19 pandemic situation, there are a lot of new discoveries, there are a lot of new developments that are happening when we as human beings and mankind and experts and scientists are coming out with new and new ways how we can manage with that. Then we need to focus on priorities and objectives which are important for us post-pandemic. So because if we do not prepare for that, then we have a challenge that when the post-pandemic situation, you will be left behind. The competitors who possibly have started to prepare themselves earlier would possibly be already be one step ahead of you. And the very important part is to involve all areas of your business. So if you are in an organization, whether you are public sector or whether you are private sector or non-for-profit, you must involve all components of that business unit or of the business organization. Then it helps you to establish a common vision which everybody is aligned to that, and also for the mission, the purpose, we call it a mission, and also how do we bring in best practices, adapt best practices to make sure that we can do more with what we're able to do today. And the whole business excellence model will also help you to drive continuous improvement. We'll also ask you questions, we'll ask you where you want to go, how and what your objectives, your strategies are, so to facilitate your transformation. Help you to engage your people to innovate. So when you have a strategy that you want to have new products, new services, new capabilities, of course, innovation and technology and transformation will play a very important part in your organization. And we want to create value, we want to improve the business results. So from here, we can see that it's very important that business excellence model must be adopted because it's a holistic framework of actually how we're going to do it. So the holistic model, as we know that what exists is that we have the emphasis of all the models, whether you are from different countries. We have about 55 countries with about 65 awards being given out in 55 countries. All have been embraced the business excellence model. So it's a holistic and integrated management framework, emphasizing, number one, on deployment, making sure that it is deployed to all the areas which needs that particular process or strategy to be deployed. You must integrate those various departments and various sections, and even together with your partners and suppliers or whatnot that you have together, so you are one and you can work very smoothly. And you need to make sure that innovation becomes a lifeline, because changes are going to take place over and over, and new things will come. So you need to innovate to survive. And you can co-create. You can co-create, engaging your customers, working together closely with your customers. They're giving ideas to you so you understand their needs, and co-creating with your suppliers, with your partners, so that together you are as one and it's a win-win for everybody. And of course, looking at the results, it's very important that you are having the right objectives so that you have the right outcomes identified, the right measures, and you are tracking it, and then you can identify your opportunities and also strengthen yourself if you're doing well, or look at your weaknesses or areas where you're not doing well. What is the issues? What are the areas? And that will help you. And all this, when you put it together, it will help you to remain sustainable. Because sustainability sometimes is misunderstood in today's context. It's only talking about environment or talking about eco-friendly. That is one part which is important. But sustainability also means developing people, developing leadership, developing capabilities, because without that, you really cannot support the eco-environment that we could come about. Then the approach. The approach in the business excellence model typically does not prescribe anything. It's non-prescriptive and is holistic, cross-cutting across, and includes everybody that needs to be involved in the process. And it's adaptable, you can adjust it. Just like best practices, when you bring it on board, you adopt it, or whether you adapt it, you adjust it, and then you make sure that it fits to your culture, fits to your context of the organization. And so you know that in the Middle East itself, like if we're talking about the UAE and of course, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we have many awards, business excellence model awards, which is already in place. So it actually shows that the Middle East community is very enlightened, and they see the value in using the framework to help build their public sector organizations and help build their private sector organizations. And we find that in other countries too, like in the US, we find that they have the Baldrige model, which is also used by many other organizations and other countries, maybe Baldrige based. The European model is also very widely used. Then Japan is having their own model. Australia has a model. Singapore also has a model. You find that these countries were previously, they started in the GEMS, the Global Excellence Model, and then more and more countries come on board to share best practices. Today, we have about 12 countries very actively doing that. And more countries are coming on board to learn and share all these models. The other benefit is about even if you don't want to apply for the award, sometimes there's a misunderstanding. People saying that business excellence model is only for applying for an award. Well, if you apply for an award and you're able to demonstrate rigor and world-class performance or perhaps best-in-class performance, you may be a worthy award candidate. But that is just one check on the milestone, on the journey, whether you have arrived at the level which the award criteria requires. In addition to that, it's an assessment tool to assess yourself continuously, to make sure that you know how you're doing, you know where your strengths are, you know where your opportunities are, so you can take the appropriate action. At the same time, it's also a tool for accountability. Because as an organization, various appointment holders, various jobs have been done, your colleagues, your friends, the seniors and the juniors, they have responsibility. So this tool helps you to promote accountability, or in fact, even surface the level of accountability. If you're very committed, very involved, you can find very high performance. If you possibly have been not paying enough attention, there's an area which we possibly need to do something and pay more attention to that. And also a tool to facilitate transformation. When you go to your strategy area, you talk about what you want to do, where you want to go, how you want to go. So whether you're going to digitalize, whether you're going to bring in more technology, or your roadmaps that you're going to develop, transformation roadmap, Some now we got organization with digitalization roadmap, with technology roadmap, depending on the business that you're in. So you can help you to go along that. It can be a milestone, it may take you 4 years, 5 years, or whatever. At the same time, this is a good tool to help you improve your productivity. You and me, we all know that productivity is the most important thing for survival. Your GDP looks at productivity. Whether you are a developed country or developing country, whether you are considered a rich country or you're considered a not so rich country, productivity is a key factor. You cannot run away from it. And continuous improvement is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to know what is happening, where the performance is not so good, and what possibly you need to do. And you need to take action, and you can close the gap, or you can improve yourself. Alignment. Alignment is something is not well understood by many people, but alignment to the vision and mission, alignment of the workforce of the department's output, and all the departments of the organization's output, that kind of alignment is very, very useful. So the productivity goes up, employee satisfaction goes up, and everybody is happy, so that we need to do less and be able to get more. So it's very important. And it's also a tool for engagement and also to provide focus. Because there are questions in the criteria that ask you about your colleagues, your workforce engagement, ask you about your customers' engagement, ask you about engaging your suppliers, engaging your partners. So it's actually engagement is a strength. So engaging people, bringing people on board, getting and harnessing the ideas that come from them gives you better outcomes. And also helps you to have focus. That if this is what we want to go for, this is our strategy. So we engage the people with a clear strategy and we go on the direction to achieve our vision. Of course, it's also same time a tool to help you to understand what kind of new colleagues that you want to bring on board. How are you going to recruit new entrants? What kind of competencies do they need? What kind of attributes do they need to show? And then once you bring them on board, how are you going to develop them so that they can grow, they can acquire the know-how that the organization needs. And then they feel good and they can grow with the organization. And then a tool that helps you to reward performance, recognize good behavior, good behavior. So all these are very, very important. And one very important strength, I have helped many organizations. My own organization has got the awards, the Singapore Quality Award and the Singapore Quality Award with a commendation and the Singapore Innovation Award. We find that the language in use in the business excellence model or the criteria is very, very useful for us, all of us, to get a common meaning, common understanding. And once we have a common language, easy to understand what you mean, what you're asking, and how we want to do it. So it's a tool for language. And all these put together will definitely help you to improve your sustainability. So before I go to the next one, I have a small 3 questions designed for all of you. I hope you don't mind, all our participants, all my friends. I have 3 questions. And if I like to request Salim to possibly help me to flash the first question to all our friends. So this is the first question. And please take about a minute to read what is it and give your response to that.
If you allow me, Mr. Harnik, just to remind everybody about the question and answer. There is a button there down to the screen, Q&A. Please don't hesitate to put your questions there, and we will present it to Mr. Harnik at the end of the presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. So I hope you have got your response to that.
Yeah, we have about 10 seconds just to close the...
Sure. 15 seconds, yeah, sure. Take your time. Give it a thought.
Thank you very much. I think now I will just end the poll.
Okay. Are we okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody. I hope your response come in. We can look at the response in the cumulative form later.
You see it? You see the data?
I mean the outcome of their scores. There will be somebody who will be collating it later.
No. Do you see it, or shall I share it now?
If you can show it now, it'll be good.
Okay, now it is there. You can see it, right?
Okay, looks like many of our friends are very clear that it's all of the above, and all of the above is the most appropriate response to this. The others which have come in are all important, but collectively it also creates value, improve business results once you deploy well. Well done, very good. 84% is the AA plus, huh?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we move forward. Okay, here is just a typical model. This model, I'm just referring it to the Baldrige Performance Excellence Model. With something like that, we find that from the 55 countries, there are many countries who have a Baldrige base, and there are many countries who have an EFQM base. And there are many countries who also have their own unique, customized kind of model. But still, all the models will cover broadly the same criteria about the same kind of results. Only thing, the way they ask the question perhaps is slightly different, the kind of core values or the principles they have. Broadly, they are about the same. 80% we can say they're basically, you can point them one to the other all day. Okay, here we find that in the Baldrige model, you'll find that there are 6 categories. We have 3 that giving the direction in terms of leadership, needing to, have to lead the organization and the strategy to help to get there, and the customer's needs have been addressed. Drivers are typically the people who are going to work to get it done, and the processes in place where people work in that, and then you deliver the results. At the same time, all of them need to get the information. They need to know what is happening out there. They need to analyze the information, analyze the results, the performance, analyze the strategy, the SWOT analysis, so that this knowledge can be used. And they're going to manage knowledge as information as you keep steering the company going forward. But the most important thing is the one on the top, the organization profile. You need to know who are you. Once you know who are you, and you have a very clear understanding of your profile and the context, then it is clearer and easier for you to work with the 7 areas, with 6 on the processes and 1 on the on the results. This one is the King Abdulaziz quality model that we have, tier 1 model. You too have about the same thing, even though you have what we call 8 criteria here. The 8 criteria, they have 5 enablers, and you have 3 results area. So it's very clear, and just looks like a bit of a best practice adopted from Baldrige, a bit of best practice adopted from EFQM, and then you have actually put it together, which is serving your purpose in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. You actually, when you're working on this, you're also guided by the 9 principles of quality and organizational excellence, which you have. So all those things are basically helping you to identify the good practices which are embedded in world-class organizations or organizations that are performing well. So to work in the COVID-19 environment, in the context of looking at the categories and the criteria and all that, when you look at the requirements, let's say in the workforce side, the first one will come. Protect employees from all infections, to stay safe and keep well. Because when you look at the criteria, there are questions that have been asked. And now with your organization profile understood, with the COVID-19 pandemic environment understood, you can address that questions and take the appropriate action. So it's very important to know the context, know the environment, and know the requirement of the criteria and the question. So customization of the question. This is what the Baldrige criteria people are doing. This is what they are also doing for This year now with the COVID, and next year they'll be sharing some of the enhancements which they are going to do. Then you need to plan and rapidly transition the frontline employees to working from home, and which is already happening now. And moving forward, you'll find that this may become a little bit permanent for some jobs. And it's also become a challenge because organizations can now get employees from another country to deliver the same product or service, which that a job can be done from home. So it provides a challenge for the organizations as to how they're going to bring in new people on board and a new job description and things like that. Sustain communication so that people are in the know, so you reduce stress and maintain efficiency. The front line and critical services must continue until we are totally clear of all this, and it must be safe. We must help team leaders, so those who are involved in tracking in this challenging time, so performance, and they can help out. Keep employees engaged, very important. When you are away from all your colleagues, your friends, somebody need to be there to be involved, engaged with you, to help you to keep performing. We need to reskill and upskill because in the context, a lot of jobs have changed. So the skills possibly need to be further reviewed and reskilled and upskill for that, some of them. So empower employees so we can, remote coaching and learning can also take place because it's very important how they do that. Engage customers so you can understand their needs and requirements and also the expectation in the context today. Because customers are why you are there and they are the one that help the business to grow. So you need to understand they also under challenges. They're also facing all kind of control, restrictions and whatnot and how you're going to do. So how are you going to do that? Engaging suppliers. This is another very important thing. Today you'll find that even countries want to bring all the suppliers to them. If there's manufacturing elsewhere, they want to bring it to in-country so that they make it smooth for them. So suppliers have been a bit of a headache for many companies when the pandemic broke out and what happened after that, no travel, no this, all that. So there was a lot of issues on this area. In Singapore, in April, they did a survey on the skills that are in demand for the COVID-19 during the pandemic. There's a lot of change in the landscape, a lot of change in the way works have been done. So the 10 adaptive skills that was identified is here, and 10 digital skills that were identified also here. You can find a lot of them are linked to digitalization, linked to technology. So it's very important for the new workforce, the new entrants. And in fact, even senior employees, aged employees, I mean, like me, old man like me. So we also need to enhance our digital skills so that we can continue to contribute and work together safely and happily everywhere. So they find that the criteria, as I said earlier, that basically is a framework that is used, and this framework helps you to make sure that you take an integrated approach so that organization can perform and results are there and it's always ever improving. So the customers are happy, the stakeholders are happy, so the organization continues to thrive and you continue to move forward. You're able to have a long-term planning opportunity, how you do that. An improvement of overall organizational effectiveness because you use the information to understand performance, productivity, quality, so that you can understand how you are performing and your capabilities are able to deliver. And the competencies comes in to make sure that your capabilities are there and they deliver. So all this helps you to improve. And of course, you get this information helps the individual to know themselves, learn about themselves, and collectively help the organization to learn about the kind of workforce you have, the kind of competencies we have, kind of opportunities which are there. So it's organization learning and personal learning which actually take place. So with this, I would like to request all my friends and participants to take the second question. There is a second question. It's a true or false question. So can we take the true and false question, please? So you take a minute or so, look at that, and please let's have a response.
Mr. Harnik.
Yep.
You mentioned a model just a while ago with the title of BEBB. What is that?
So that is Baldrige Performance Excellence Program.
So this is related to Baldrige. Yeah.
No, that is the word they use in US.
Yeah, I know it.
They got a Baldrige Award, but the model or the program is called Baldrige Performance Excellence Program.
Yeah, because somebody was asking just okay.
Like in Singapore, we call it Business Excellence Initiative.
Okay.
In the initiative, there are awards, there are various certifications. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Shall we close the poll now?
Okay, I think this is quite straightforward.
Yeah. Now I can share the results. You can see
it.
Yes,
go ahead, please. Wow, this is very good. We have 95%. Excellent. So we have very involved and engaged colleagues, those who have a clear understanding of the benefits that are there. It's all there. It's up to us to seize the benefits, up to us to take advantage of it. Because it's very difficult for somebody else to do for you. Once you understand, you will benefit by yourself. Very good. Excellent. So we'll move on from here. Okay, this just to share a little bit about the Baldrige. They have a criteria. They used to change very frequently about 6-7 years ago. Then they start to change 2 yearly ones. So the last change was 2019 and 2020 framework. And every year a new enhancement comes in depending on the feedback from the users and from the examiners and from the stakeholders. And for 2019 and 2020, they have also pushed forward some focus on these 4 areas. And one of them, the first one is managing in the context of your business ecosystem. So this is an opportunity because many organizations do not know enough about the ecosystem. Or perhaps for them, they don't pay enough attention to understand the ecosystem. That being said, first of all, they don't set their context of the organization correctly. Or they don't communicate to all their colleagues so that they know why you're doing something. If only some of them know, the leaders know, and your colleagues who are working down do not know the context of why and what, it's very difficult to lead an organization to actually succeed. Second is to enabling an aligned, collaborative, and agile supply network. So suppliers need to get into it. You need to align them together so that they understand what you need to do because you need to service your customer. You need to service your end stakeholder that actually you need to do. So you need to collaborate with them. You need to work together and they need to be agile to adjust very quickly to your needs. If there is a need, they should know. So the agility becomes a very important strength for them. And then creating and reinforcing the organization culture. Strangely, from my experience, somehow or other, values seems to be something which people and organizations and all were talking about, but the specifics about culture, not enough attention was given to that. But now it is coming up. Do we know what is the organizational culture? Do you know the values that we have, how they're going to be translated, and how they're going to then demonstrate the desired behaviors in the culture which you want in the organization, so that the organization all can have a certain culture demonstrated and it can be seen. So the values helps you to translate and bring about the desired behaviors and collectively becomes a culture of an organization. So the importance of the culture is now taking more focus. Then broadening your cybersecurity, I think which we all know. In fact, now there are more focus on cybersecurity and includes your whole, perhaps your whole network, your operations, your workforce, customers, suppliers, stakeholders. Everybody needs to be collectively in the loop so that cybersecurity excellence can actually take place. Very important. This just to show that just like you have your 9 principles in the King Abdulaziz Quality Award, and in the Baldrige, they have core values or concepts, they call it. They got 11 of them. So these core values are embedded are embedded in your organization, and it actually surfaces in the various categories, in the leadership, in the workforce, in the process, in the strategy. So all this will actually surface on it. So these are certain concepts of working and that needs to be demonstrated. But for the COVID-19, some of these core values became very important. Let's say, for example, the first one, the valuing people. Valuing people was very important because you need to care for people. Whether your staff or whether it's your neighbor or whether it's your competitor, is you still need to take care of people. You need to take care of your own people. And out there, you need to take care of everyone another so that you value people. It's very, very important. And then societal responsibility. Collectively, we got what we call this responsibility to one another. Because in this context, whether you maintain your social distancing, whether you put on a mask, or what else you need to do, you work from home, all these are societal responsibility which we have collectively for everybody. So these core values surface a lot. And ethics and transparency, definitely. Because if you don't have that, very difficult to maintain stability and very difficult to maintain progress of the society, or of the organization of the society, to make sure that we are together as a human race moving forward for the betterment and getting out of the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, organization is learning and you're agile. Agility was very, very important. You need to quickly adjust when it happens. You need to quickly turn and make sure that you are able to survive that particular challenge. This just to show you that the knowledge concept, they have the 9 core values in the center in blue, and then we have the 6 what they call process categories, and then we have the 5 results areas outside. So right in the center, you take a systems perspective, and then you have your core values embedded, and this can be demonstrated to your 6 categories, and then you can perform your results, and you can show your outcomes through your results. This is a very important first part. And in fact, from my experience, I've seen in Singapore and also in many other places, I had a chance to do assessment overseas too. And we have seen that organizations don't pay enough attention to organization profile. Why? Because the answer we sometimes get is because there is 0 point given to this particular area. Because there's 0 points given to this, so it's not so important. So you just left it to the corporate comms or left it to somebody to tell you or give you information about what this organization is all about. But this is very, very challenging because this is a very important first starting point. Without getting organization profile correct, you're unable to use the criteria, the model to assess yourself effectively. So you must get this understanding correct. So this sets the stage. The criteria helps you to ask the right questions in the different items and areas and the criteria requirements. That's how it comes up. So it's a starting point of doing an assessment, and also if you're applying for an award, it's also a starting point of writing a report, making sure you submit. When the assessors come in or examiners come in, they'll be looking at this to really done that. Then in detail is the basic information that we have in terms of what is relevant, what is important to the organization. This must come out in the organization profile so that the examiners can look at that, or you yourself can look at that to do a self-assessment yourself. It actually provides a snapshot of the organization, your key influences, how you operate, what are your challenges that you're facing. So you understood. So this information forms the basis to do performance improvement efforts. Because this is it, and let's see what we can do about this, continue to excel and improve ourselves as we go along. So what we're going to do. So in the organization profile, there are some questions. There are some questions like what we have is your product offerings. What is it that you're doing? What's your business? Even these, many organizations don't get it right. So you must have this very clear. So your processes must be there to deliver that. Your mission, what it means. Your vision, what it means. What values are there and how this brings about a culture. Your workforce, what kind of profile you have. What kind of competencies you have to help the organization to build the organizational competency to make sure that the products and processes are good. Assets enough, resources enough. The regulatory requirements, the structure, your customers. Who are your customers? Understanding the customer requirements. Who are your stakeholders? Understanding their requirements. requirements, partners, suppliers, collaborators, all this must come up. And plus also your strategic context. This is very important because you need to know your key strategic challenges and your potential. You must have a strategic foresight. Where you're going, how, and then why the organization going that way, why the organization is taking this action, overcoming the challenges or taking advantage. What you're going to do. So this organization profile is an important part. It's a very, very important part. This is just the Baldrige one, which is just give you the score. Similarly, I think your King Abdul Aziz Quality Award also have their scoring system. So just to give you an idea. So we look at I use the Baldrige based model. In every of the categories, there are certain requirements or criteria requirements. So like here, we give you an example that if you go to leadership, they must be involved, they must set a direction, they must understand what is happening today. They cannot leave it, they cannot delegate, they have to be involved. They must have a strategy, you must set your strategy clear, your plan must be there, deployed, and of course then you must make sure you understand your customers because it helps you to make sure that you're able to service them, whether technology will help, whether digitalization will help, innovation, so what you're going to do. Similarly, about the workforce, training them, upskilling them, engaging them, making them happy. And similarly, operations and customers, customers' requirements and the operation quality requirements and the process requirement all need to make sure that it's harmonized, exactly working together to address one requirement with the other. End of the day, you need to track your results. Track what is important to you, what is the output, what is the outcome. So you must have a way to actually strengthen yourself for doing that. So key consideration for self-assessment, number one, you must start with the organization profile. OP is organization profile, organization context. In the current case, the changes to address the COVID-19. And because of the changes, it may create new or change the existing risk. So the impact on digitalization and technology will happen. The role of leadership will come in more now. So the criteria in a normal peacetime, normal type of climate organization as a running an organization, and in the COVID-19 post-pandemic, there are going to be some new or additional role for leaders or changes in the role of leaders. So what is it? You must address it. Important the process owners and workforce participation, monitor the performance, get the feedback. So you need to be agile in adjusting because new information is coming in. The risk levels are changing. Either it's getting better or it's getting more challenging. What are you going to do about that? Ensuring compliance to regulatory requirements, to standards, so that at the same time you can identify opportunities. As I said earlier, opportunities are also coming. Not everything is a challenge or is a problem. There are also opportunities out there. So you must be able to see, look through the opportunities, how you prepare, how do you use this to actually get yourself going. So the new norm is, that the cost is going up, and we need to focus and review so we can leverage on technology. Upskill the workforce so we can do the right job once it's post and in a new norm. So capability and capacity and talent, the kind of talent you will need then, the kind of new competencies your talent will need is also very important. Now we have a lot of online learning. In fact, many even universities or polytechnics and all that are also doing online lecturing and learning. So, but the quality of transfer of learning assessment, that is a very, very important part. How you do that? Transfer of learning so that you can make sure that the effectiveness of the learning can be quantified. Then the quality of workplace safety. There are many ISO standards which are there. So just using the ISO standard as they were pre-pandemic, and how you use them during the pandemic and how you're going to use them after the pandemic, you need to review your processes, your models, your manuals, and your whatever that you have. So that these standards and updates that you put will support you post-pandemic. Then the application of waste reduction. There are many tools you've been using before, so you got to see how you're going to continue to use these tools to improve your productivity. Management approaches, there will be new norms, there will be new ways, because the new work environment will change. The needs of the workforce as well, there will be a certain shift, although you need to put that all into place. Working schedules, shift, space, distancing will require a wider real estate for you to actually work, working from home, and supporting the changes. in your transformation mode also. Transportation, public transportation, coming to work, enough, going back later or whatnot. So all this will have to play a part as you get into the new norm. So to overcome the challenges and the thrive, there are basically a few things that are just being suggested. We need organizations to enhance the strategies and systems to bring. First, adopting digital technology. This is more or less like a must for almost all industries. Even those industries who do not need technology to service a customer, but how they process their back end, or how they process to prepare themselves and collect information, they still can use the digital technology. You need to have a strategic foresight. You need to keep it updated, keep current, keep connected with your chambers, with your associations or whatnot, to really understand what is happening, what is transforming the government and your other stakeholders who want to keep the country going, keep the businesses going, keep the industry going. Risk management is an ongoing thing. You've got to always study what's happening. Business continuity is there. ISO 22301, I think many of you are already using it. This is a 2019 version where they've included resilience. The new standards are coming on board, and some standards are from ISO, some are from regulatory bodies, and some are from original equipment manufacturers because of the new standards that come in. So they also update their standard, their requirements. They're working with OEMs where you do that. Reskilling, upskilling, and lifelong learning. This is how things are going to go, and we need to accept that is how we're going to go. Mobile workforce is the other one, working from anywhere. So when you look at the category of workforce, so some of your requirements of a profile of workforce, is mobile workforce will actually get into the kit. So what are you going to do? How are you going to bring them on board? How are you going to assess their performance? How are you going to reward and recognize them? So all this will come in because there will be a lot of challenges from working from home and working in place. How does the supervisors assess performance? So these are things which need to be addressed. Understanding the supply ecosystem is very important to know the whole thing and the logistics involved. And we have many, many challenges that surfaced. Many companies, when they started in March, April of the COVID-19, there were a lot of issues. And now some things have been smoothened out, but still there's a lot more out there which we need to do. So coping with the challenges, some of the ways that we can do is to ensure continuous care for the workforce and their development in the new normal. You must care for your people. You must help them to grow, help them to acquire new skills they can develop. And you must react with the appropriate steps to the pandemic and the many new demands posed while you're trying to cut down your costs and improve your productivity. So costs you need to keep down because you may not be getting enough customers for your business and you want to improve your productivity. So all these, you need to take a complete picture. How are you going to address it? Creating more values for customers in the given context. So in this context, how do you give more to the customer so the customer feel good? If you understand the changing needs, customer also will also understand the changing needs of the suppliers or of their whoever going to service them and their expectations in the new environment. So you need to work very closely with the customer. Co-create, keep your customer happy, and the customer will give you the feedback of how they feel so that you can work together. And taking stock of your processes, streamline your work processes, leverage technology as much as possible, digitalize as much as you can, automate, and automation is the other one which is coming up, and building innovation capabilities and talent to bring your organization forward post-pandemic, talent for people inside the organization to be able to galvanize everybody to lead people in the new norm after pandemic. It's going to be very different. So how do you going to do that? So you need to think about it and bring yourself forward. So some of the impacts of the shifting models. So we need to be agile and rapidly we must develop the capabilities to survive. How are we going to do that? Very quickly change, to strengthen yourself, build a capability so you can be able to keep going. Review your capabilities that you have pre-pandemic related to your strategic and your organizational processes. Basically, what you were doing before in terms of products or research or then a product redevelopment, new kind of product. So you need to revisit that. Identifying and working with new partners in the new ecosystem. your previous partners may have their own challenges or may have some other kind of things to do. So your new partners come on in the new ecosystem because it's evolving. You cannot say, oh, let's go back to the old way. I mean, that is not going to happen. So we all know that. Then review the strategic decision, making that create value such that the dynamic environment by manipulating available resources. You have limited resources. And into the new value creating strategy that you're going to have, how are you going to channel these limited resources to that so that you are able to create value in that way. It's very challenging, easy to say, but you need to sit together, understand what is happening out there, understanding the ecosystem, understanding your organization, and then you possibly may get some idea of what you want to do. And setting a new equilibrium post-COVID-19 situation will bring forth demands which underlie the organization's strategy. So the strategy before and the strategy when pandemic happened, and strategy which you are now looking at what you possibly want to do as you move forward, all that need to be taken care of. How you going to organize yourself, your structure, the processes, even including your core values. The kind of core values you had before and now you're going to have that will help you to bring about the culture. You need to revisit that. And controlling and a division of power. This one should not be ignored. Where the power going to come from, which area, the kind of leaders and the kind of stakeholders. So you cannot ignore all these things. Very, very important for you to do. So before you go there, there's a test 3. Can I request that test 3 be taken, please? There's a test 3. One answer. 1 minute should be okay.
Yeah. You want us to show the poll number 4?
Yeah.
Shall I show it now?
Yeah. You can. I mean, the last test. I mean, test question 3.
Yeah. Okay. Can you just read it for people, please?
Yeah.
So please, everybody needs just to take an answer for these questions out of 5 options here. While they're responding to this poll, Mr. Singh, can you just, somebody is asking about the assessment tool used for the Malcolm Baldrige award.
Yeah.
You know, radar they're using in the FQM. What the assessment tool used there in the Malcolm Baldrige award?
In the Malcolm Baldrige, they use the Malcolm Baldrige criteria, the 2019-2020 criteria, which is the latest criteria, which is out there.
Yeah.
You can buy the book from NIST.
Mm-hmm. But there is in the FKM they're using radar, you know.
Yeah, correct. There is
what's the equivalent to radar?
Will give you very clear criteria and the areas to address. Yeah.
What is similar to radar in Malcolm Baldrige?
Radar is one of the tools used by EFQM, and Baldrige do not specifically say you must use radar. But if you can use radar, it helps you. But they have their own way of looking at what they call ADLI, approach deployment levels and integration.
Okay.
You know, for how they do the different assessment and scoring it. Yeah.
Okay. Now we will end up the.
Okay, fine.
The pool.
Okay.
And we can share the result.
Sure. Okay. What do we have?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Very good. Very good. We have 76% for all of the above. I'm very, very happy that our friends have all more or less got the ideas. The rest of the answers are also correct, but all of them are correct, which is 76% of our friends have given. Very good. Well done. Good. So let's move forward.
Can we just close the presentation by 5 minutes, please? Because
yeah, we can. We'll do that.
Thank you very much.
Right. Okay. This is just to say that we need to be future ready. Yesterday, we are having problems with the pandemic, so we are trying to enable ourselves to be ready. And today, we are trying to engage all our colleagues, our stakeholders, to be ready to prepare ourselves to move forward tomorrow. And tomorrow, we'll enrich ourselves to actually strengthen as we move forward. So it's just to say we need to evolve, we need to move forward. So sustainability typically can be by using the business excellence model. There's one of the desired way of doing that. Anything else can actually fit into the model. Here, there are just two models. One is the EFQM, and one is the King Abdulaziz Quality Award. We have the Baldrige, and we have some countries who have customized. So it doesn't matter. Use the business excellence model, which is in your country, which you are comfortable, and then it will help you to get success. If you look at the ISO, which many of us are also using the ISO standard, you'll find that even in the ISO standards, it is also very clearly addressing the areas and perhaps not so deep as a business excellence model, but broadly the topics or perhaps the criteria in the business excellence model is also addressed by ISO, but it's kept at a very basic level. So you really want to go up and excel, use a business excellence model to steer and to help you go up. There are many other standards ISO have, which you can use to put into your model, into business excellence model. And these are just some examples of standards which many organizations tend to use, but they make it silo. But my suggestion is to look at these standards, look at the 9,000, the 14,000, the 45,000, and put it together into the business excellence model in the various categories where it will make sense. Like the anti-bribery will make sense in the leadership category. Right, so when you talk about compliance and things like that, where you come back. This just to say that we need to take a holistic view, and you need to assess an organization. You have many ways of assessing. You can use the KAQA criteria. You can use the ISO criteria, and you can also use the ISO 9004, which gives you guidance to how to sustain success. And it is already available since 2018. You can use it to check you. And many other management system standards, even the JCI, Joint Commission, and even the 56002, which is the Innovation Management Framework introduced last year. You can use many of these to help you to assess. To improve, there are many best practices out there, and then you can go back to your standards and put your new standard for your organization and put it there as a new performance. But to succeed, it's very important that the context must be understood. Organization profile must be understood. The leaders must all be involved. That are key. It's a foundation for you to actually succeed. So there are 6 steps for you for business excellence. Make it business excellence. The way you work must be led by senior leaders. Very important. Integrate business excellence into your strategic planning cycle. And your transformation map will also be actually connected if you have a transformation map. Have a clear, articulated strategy, clear deployment plan of these strategies, and clear outcomes measures that you need. Then it's easier for you to know whether you're making progress. Customize and develop an in-house industry criteria knowledge. Even the business excellence model, which is in a way still a bit generic, you can customize it to your industry, you can customize it to your company, to your organization, but the criteria broadly are there and you can tweak and make it relevant to your context. Incorporate the ISO standard regulatory requirement into the model so that it complies. Collectively, you take a holistic approach. And of course, remember, you must start with the organization profile. So you must set the context right. Once you set the context right, very easy for you. Then everything else will fall into place. 3 magic pills to help you stay relevant, improve productivity, transform and innovate in the new norm using your BE journey. First is active leadership with a clear organization profile and clear strategic objectives. Secondly, workforce, customers, suppliers, and co-creating value. You must understand the customers, your workforce needs, help them develop, help them grow. Understand your customers' needs and expectation and co-create with them. Suppliers working together. So this is one way to succeed. And you must realize that the importance of digitalization is there. You need to get into it. Automation is the way forward. And to make sure your processes are robust and the measures shows how the organization is performing. So in conclusion, in the last slide, firstly, hands-on leadership and total participation is important. Must have a clear strategic foresight. You must groom your leaders and groom talent. It's very important for you as you're moving forward. You must embrace new norms. You got no escape. That is the way the whole world is actually evolving. Have clear business processes and standards. Review and make sure they're relevant in the new norm. Requirements and performance must also be addressed. So to make sure that it's performing in a new norm is really something is where you want to exceed and excel. You need to reskill your people. You need to upskill them. And you need to leverage on digitization, leverage on technology. You must make innovation a lifeline. And you must look for best practices, adapt it, adopt it. And this will help you to make sure that you're sustainable. Business excellence is a tool, the powerful tool. It's up to you to customize it and use it, and then be sustainable into the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Harnik Singh, for this valuable information. I really enjoyed, I'm sure everybody here, we have a lot of people attending the workshop or the lecture here, and they're enjoying it. And this is why I just pushed it up at the last, because we have a lot of questions to be raised. And very interesting. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Do you hear me?
Is there any question?
Yeah. The first question is talking about how do you describe the impact of Business Excellence Award and models on the Singapore competitiveness and economy?
Okay. Singapore's approach for using the Business Excellence model started in 1994. Since then, they moved forward with this Business Excellence approach, or at that time they call it the Singapore Quality Award. And 2 years later, in fact, 3 years later, they introduced the Singapore Quality Class. Because from the industry's perspective, what they found is that if they leave it as an award, because only the best will get the award, and the others may not see the value of the Business Excellence Initiative as to the usefulness of getting onto the journey, so they may not go into the journey because sometimes short-sighted award. So they make it into a journey, and they bring in the certification scheme. So they rolled out the certification scheme in 1997, and then that was Singapore Quality Class, and that bring people on the journey. And then if they are able to perform at the level of the award, they can apply for the award. So we can build a base of companies who believe in business excellence, and then they can talk the same language, and we can share best practices. Along the way, for Singapore, we realized that people was important, so people developed standards. Was introduced in 1999, I think 2 years after that. And 1 year after that, they introduced the innovation class. And then 2 years after that, they introduced the service class. So we have 4 main certifications at a niche level, which we can call the 3. I mean, people, service, and innovation. And then we got Singapore Quality Class, which is generic and which is holistic coverage. So from this, we also introduced Singapore, where we got the Spring Singapore then, and today we got Enterprise Singapore. I mean, they have the Singapore Quality Award Council and the Singapore Quality Award Management Committee. They're all very enlightened people. So they see that to get the industry together, it's important to introduce this option for niche also. So that the niche areas, those people who are interested in niche areas can focus on niche areas, but the criteria we still kept holistic. So that you still must look at leadership, must still look at strategy, must still look at processes and whatnot. But in the niche area, the score is higher, and it's a very deep dive in the criteria. So that's how Singapore have done it, and we have about 100 over award winners, and we have about 1,000 over certified companies.
So what do you think their impact on the competitiveness and the economy of Singapore?
Okay. two sides. I would not, because I don't have information of the impact on the economy, but I would say that it created a lot of awareness for the private sector, for the small and medium enterprises to embrace this thing to improve themselves so they get better results. So collectively, I'm sure their chambers and the associations are all basically aware of all the good job that's been happening. But at the same time, at the public sector side, in fact, almost the whole public sector is involved in using this model to actually to assess themselves on a 3-yearly or the award. So they keep improving. So I'm sure the public sector has benefited a lot. And the private sector, the chambers and associations are aware of the progress and how the SMEs have actually benefited from that.
Okay, good. From your contribution to the national Saudi quality strategy, what's your advice to Saudi quality managers to cope with the Saudi Arabia 2030 vision and play an enabling role in this journey? What's your advice?
Can you just repeat the last part of it again?
What's your advice to Saudi quality managers to cope with the Saudi Arabia 2030 vision?
What is my suggestion, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would think that Saudi Arabia has a lot of talent. You have a lot of good people, a lot of capable people in Saudi Arabia. SQC, the Saudi Quality Council, SASO, you all be working together, and many of you in all these quality giants we have there. I think you have a lot of knowledge and a lot of capability to value add to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's enterprises to actually be better. And the quality managers in the various organizations possibly can benefit by trying to understand the usefulness of these models and then the relevance of the various standards and methodologies out there, and try to see how they can bring them on board in their organizations, understanding the organization's context and benefit from there. And I'm sure the organizations, whether it's public or private, will do much better.
Yeah, this actually, I always see you are linking the human factor and the talent as an important element for business excellence. So we all agree that the talent management is very important. From this, how can you suggest and how can the National Business Excellence Model, GACA, King Abdulaziz Quality Award, can help organization to be prepared to the future job demand?
I think right now, from the international perspective, for the business excellence model, we already have a group which is called the Global Excellence Model Council, and they meet every year. That's what I know from the year 2000 was the first time they met. They meet every year, and they share the best practices and what we do, what they call the usefulness of their models in their own country and what others have done. So they learn. I think, if I'm not wrong, Dubai, the Government Excellence Award is already a member of for the member of 12. And what we can do is that these gems, possibly the members can trigger gems to take on an international role, possibly be more useful. Because I actually cannot comment on their term of reference or what they're supposed to do, but there is one opportunity there. Our APQO, Global Performance Excellence Award, recognize all awards all over. And we recognize that last year we have Wasit Gas Plant Department from Saudi Aramco, which got the Best in Class Award. He also got the Innovation Class Award Gold. He also got the International Best Practice Award. So in Saudi, actually, like Aramco, they are very, very high-performing organizations. They're very good organizations. But how do we bring them into a model where there's international recognition? I think the only platform I can think now is our GEMS. Mm-hmm. I'm not aware of any other body which have representation from an international perspective. I think that would be very important, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Hamlik, that the biggest change and transformation are in the business outlook and post-COVID-19 customer requirements. How this is very important to be, adopted by the organization in order to make sure and maintain the new partnership and supply chain management. How should this be done, actually? I know it's a big question.
I'm actually not an expert in this area, but from my little bit of knowledge, what I have, I don't mind sharing, but I'm not taking any particular organization's position to actually share. Transportation is a very, very important part, not only for the people living in the city, but also for organizations to get their supply chain working from the different places, whether it's by land, whether it's by rail, or whether it's by air, right? So for transportation, for the city itself, the city authorities or the town or whatever authorities have to agree how the population who are living there have to move about. If it's safe distancing is still an element, still an issue, how they're going to use the capacity that they have, and at the same time keeping the people safe. So they've got to work out that one, and the citizens too will have to be socially responsible to make sure they keep to the rules and keep to the mask wearing, and then when they go up the transport, they conduct themselves to the requirements expected. Whereas the land and the other kind of movement will depend on the businesses as to how they can get it. But now cross-border kind of transportation is a big issue. Different countries have their own requirements, their own tests, and their own what you call authorization before you can move. And it's become a big issue like airlines. You kind of find that airlines, those who are flying passengers, are today carrying more cargo because they have no passengers, because they want to survive. So against the transportation, even like the sea-going transportation is another big headache, because those carrying cargo, they may have business. Those carrying passengers, they basically have to stay offshore. Just stay afloat somewhere. So it's all very good. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to that. But this is what.
I think with COVID-19 changes, a lot of setup is changing. Actually, one of them is the way we are doing our business. Now employees, they're doing their business from long distance.
Yes.
So we need just to pay focused attention for the new work home normal. And how do we create the new paradigm of offices in the home? This is a question. Any recommendation for this?
I don't have any actual experience into this, so I would dare not comment. But I think anything it is possible, but you need to engage the stakeholders, engage the different countries within your own countries, the various stakeholders, because everybody is trying to be safe, trying to follow the rule, trying to make sure that they are not breaking any agreements we've been set. So I think this is, as it is constrained, it's also an opportunity. As I said earlier, these two things are there. So how do you recognize the opportunity in the constraint? So the more you know, and the more honest you are, and the more compliant you are, the more your other partner will trust you. So your opportunity will actually come from.
Yeah, let me ask me, because in the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, there are a lot of companies and organizations, they freeze their business excellence effort.
Yes.
What is, because of the cost cut and this type of things, what is your advice for them?
I would not like to comment anything, because with my limited exposure to that area, I am not equipped with that knowledge to really suggest something. But all I can say is, end of the day, compliance is very important. Taking care of all your colleagues, your workforce, your customers is very important. Understanding the various stakeholders is very important. So once you get all these things clear in this very hazy, in this very chaotic kind of environment that we have, you see more light. On the other side, we are talking about how our people doing the research can come out with some solution for us. This is all an ongoing thing. I don't think I am in a position to actually comment more than that.
Thank you. What about, you just mentioned something about the telemedicine as one of the initiatives to meet the special condition of COVID-19.
Yeah.
Do you have any other example that showing a gift of COVID-19 to business excellence?
I would think, you see, as an organization, if you are a healthcare organization, and of course, then you have got patients and you got all those who are your customers, and how do you take care of them? So telemedicine will actually come in from that perspective as to how do you take care of your patients, how do you take care of your scheduled outpatients, and some of them may not need to come to the clinic because you go through the challenges. So you can do telemedicine to actually solve some of those scheduled visits and actually prescribe regular medicines and things like that. But I think more and more organizations are seeing value in the telemedicine, and the transportation is reduced. The clarity of asking the questions to the medical officer or to the specialist is there. So if it's necessary, then you need to go in. If it's not necessary, you can possibly get your response and prescription on through telemedicine, and you can go and get your medicine. I think that actually saves a lot productivity, and you don't need to touch, and you stay away, safe distancing, and all that.
Can we have the last question, because somebody is asking about the innovation role for business excellence?
What is that again?
The innovation role for business excellence.
Innovation role, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. You see, in business excellence is basically a model. We say business excellence criteria is a model that address all part of the organization, and innovation is an enabler to help you to become better, to be more innovative, to be more creative. So your people that you have, all of us are creative. How do you want to help them to unleash their creativity? Once you engage them, keep them involved, and once they are involved with you, and then they want to contribute. So you need to have platforms, ways of engaging the people, and you need to give them, perhaps, if they are not able to come up with ideas which is helping the organization, a direction, a strategy. Yeah. We want to do this, and you get ideas from them. These ideas then can go in through a funnel, and then you get selected and implement. There are many ways of how you can get people engaged. And end of the day, ideas from people, ideas to directed innovation. That means you direct, you say, we want to get a new product with this capability so we are more competitive. So you get your engineers or you get your people who are holding perhaps a bit more responsible appointment to get involved, to think of ideas so you can try out ideas. So that how are you going to use this innovation? This innovation is strength of your people, the creativity of it, the strength of your strategy. So once your strategy is clear, and where you want to go, how you want to go, and what are the enablers you need to bring in. So the requirement in the business excellence model that comes in, where they ask you, how do you engage your people? How do you enhance your product processes so innovation can actually come in, kick in. So innovation, there are many tools or strategies or methods that you can use to get people to be innovative, to get outcomes from them, do a test bed, try out. It depends on the business that you're in. Some organizations may have a budget for innovation. Some organizations may have a budget for people engagement. So it depends on the approach and model that you have.
So it's always based on putting priorities, huh? Hello?
Hello, yeah, go ahead. What's that?
Yeah, I'm saying it's always about giving priorities.
Priorities, yeah, correct.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Harnik.
Sure.
Actually, it was very informative and very valuable information. And I really enjoyed it. And as well, I'm sure everybody is enjoying it here. Just before we closing, after we thank you very much for this great event today, we wish to continue for other events.
Yeah, sure. Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
Well, I'd like to thank Dr. Ayat Alomari and all the SQC Executive Committee, all the quality leaders, the quality carriers, the champions, all my friends there. Trust that it was a useful session. It provided some insights and perhaps some thinking and takeaways on the relevance and the usefulness of the business access model as a sustainability tool. Wishing all of you the very best in the future. Mabruk. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Before we close, I'd like just to remind everybody here about our next event, which is the workshop for Six Sigma, the Yellow Belt. And please, for the certification, you might see the يعني قبل شوية هذه هي we have all information here just to contact us for the certificate. Wish you the best and don't forget please just to fill up the pool as an evaluation for our event today. Shukran. Thank you very much again, Mr. Hernick. Enjoy it. We're sorry just to keep you late tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Shukran. مع السلامة.